Dallas County grand jury has indicted a civil rights activist. Dominique Alexander, the founder of the Next Generation Action Network, was indicted today on a charge of continuous violence against the family. That's a third-degree felony. He was arrested back in April after his girlfriend, Kiera Saunders, told police Alexander assaulted her. However, in an affidavit filed before today's indictment, Saunders says she doesn't want any part of the prosecution.
Welcome back, Warriors. It's me, Linda B. Thank you all so much for joining me here today. You know what? I found out a lot about Karmelo Anthony's spokesperson that's highly involved and highly dedicated to the cause of Karmelo Anthony. His name is Minister Dominique Alexander. And I said, oh, I read a little bit about him, and he reminded me so much of Reverend Al Sharpton. Yes, Reverend Al Sharpton, not a real reverend. And I wonder if Dominique Alexander is a real minister. Are we talking about BLM 2.0? We're going to be talking about that today, Warriors, on Chat with Me, Linda B. But before we do, don't forget to smash like, comment, share, subscribe. As that you watch the video all the way to the very end. Now let's get into it. All right, so I was just looking up Al Sharpton, and Al Sharpton has a very sordid history. He's been involved with a lot of cases like the Tawana Brawley case back in the 80s, which turned out to be a hoax, completely made up. And he was pounding the streets, calling, this is against Black people, the whole race baiting grifter thing that he does. He was involved with Eric Garner, George Floyd. He formed the National Action Network back in 1991. National Action Network. Okay. And the whole thing with the menthol cigarettes, I'm going to read this to you right here on my screen. In 2021, Sharpton was criticized for leading a tobacco industry pushback against a proposed ban on the sale of menthol cigarettes, using cynically manipulative arguments, while his National Action Network accepted funding from tobacco companies. Just to provide a little bit more context, this whole thing with menthol cigarettes was causing Black people who smoked menthol cigarettes to get cancer at a much, much, much higher rate, because the menthol had a soothing effect when you smoked it, causing the smoker to inhale more deeply, causing much higher cancer rates in the Black community. Al Sharpton knew this. He knew this. And yet he was going up against the ban because the menthol cigarette companies were paying him money. He is not for his own people. He is against us. He is for himself. Okay, I'm going to show you this little clip here, how he uses manipulative language. And this is the same manipulative language that the demon rat left, the Democrats, the media, the evil powers that be use against Black people to cause us to go with the very things that harm us. Watch.
No question about it. Smoking is bad for your health. No question about it. But if it's a health issue, why ain't you banning all cigarettes? Well, no, we banning the menthol because most Blacks and all smoking. Why don't you ban them all? So in other words, whites know how much to smoke and we don't know how much to smoke. If it's a health issue, what are y'all prejudice against other folks? It's a criminal justice matter.
If you don't see that, I really feel sorry for you. He made it a race issue again, saying that so white people know how to smoke and we don't. This is a criminal justice matter. This is this. He made it a race issue again, but it was a health issue that was more negatively impacting Black people. But he was doing it again, pitting Black against white, using very manipulative language. He was very, very clear what he was doing. He's an artist at it. That man, I think, is possessed, but that's just my opinion. He is known for going along with things that he should not go along with and making very anti-Semitic, anti-Mormon comments. He has a history with that. You all can just look it up. Okay. I'm telling you, the evil left, the racist white liberal is behind all of this stuff. I'm just saying now, Al Sharpton's network, well, his little network is called National Action Network. Again, it was founded in 1991, but Dominique Alexander, minister, so-called minister, Dominique Alexander, that has a whole lot to do with Karmelo Anthony, the teen that is the suspect in the stabbing of another teen, Austin Metcalf. His network is called Next Generation Action Network. Very similar name. Okay. And it says Next Generation. He's a lot younger. He looks to be late 30s, maybe 40 years old. Al Sharpton is early 70s. So now he's saying this is the Next Generation Action Network. And I found out some very interesting things about Dominique Alexander. Very interesting. He has a sordid criminal past. The man has a real criminal past. And don't forget, Al Sharpton was an FBI informant. Don't forget that. There's a clip of him in 1983 doing some cricket stuff. That's Al Sharpton. Okay, I'm going to show you that right now.
But I got to get more than one. Right. I mean, we're going to do this thing.
No, you talking about some real.
10 kilograms is like 350,000. That's a drop in the bucket. We can go bigger. Every kilogram we bring in 3,500 kilos. By this stuff. So if we bring in 10, you make 35,000. But that's a chicken pocket.
He can. What he's going to do, he'll do what he wants to do.
He can do it, 100 times over. Like the supplier 100 times over.
All right, let's just show you. Let's get into that. Now that we've seen that with, Al Sharpton, because that's what he is, I'm going to show you this about Dominique Alexander, just in case you didn't know. We're going to pause for a moment for a word on how you can better protect your retirement savings with gold with Augusta Precious Metals. Augusta Precious Metals is an A+ Better Business Bureau rated company. With the tariffs and inflation and economic uncertainty, people are looking for ways to better secure their retirement savings. This easy 3-step process can get you the correct information that you want to find out more about how you can protect what's most precious to you. So look at the link in the description, click on that link, and get your free information guide today.
Dallas County grand jury has indicted a civil rights activist. Dominique Alexander, the founder of the Next Generation Action Network, was indicted today on a charge of continuous violence against the family. That's a 3rd-degree felony. He was arrested back in April after his girlfriend, Kiera Saunders, told police Alexander assaulted her. However, in an affidavit filed before today's indictment, Saunders says she doesn't want any part of the prosecution and won't testify.
Okay, that was cut off a little bit. It says that she will not testify. And this also states that Dominique Alexander has a violent past. About 5 years before Dominique Alexander founded Next Generation Action Network, he was arrested for causing serious bodily injury to his girlfriend's 2-year-old son. Alexander pled guilty to the charge in 2011 and was sentenced to probation. However, he reportedly violated the terms of his probation multiple times, leading the judge to sentence him in 2016 to 5 years in prison. The judge counted his time spent on probation as part of the sentence. So Alexander only spent 8 days behind bars for the offense, according to the Dallas Morning News. In 2017, Alexander was indicted on felony theft charges related to a 2016 business dispute in Denton County. The charges were enhanced because of a previous conviction for forgery. He pled guilty and was sentenced to 2 days in jail with credit for time served. Alexander also allegedly shoved and headbutted his longtime partner, Kiera D. Saunders. He was subsequently indicted for continuous violence against the family, but those charges were dropped in 2021. He has also reportedly been convicted of evading arrest and making a false police report. He has been said by a close associate to have anger issues and has repeatedly been accused of abusing women. In a recent incident, he interrupted a press conference within Dallas City Hall and angrily confronted Dallas Police Association President Mike Mata. Okay, and you saw this little news clip right here. All right, so Minister Dominique Alexander shook a 2-year-old and spent 8 days in jail for it. So this is the the violence. It said the doctor disagreed with this statement. He examined Alexander's girlfriend's son in the intensive care unit and reported that the child had a subdural hemorrhage between the halves of his brain and at the back of the brain. He also had retinal hemorrhages in both eyes. The severity of his injuries is not consistent with rolling off the couch. The investigating officer reported the doctor saying the injuries are acute and likely occurred during the time that girlfriend's son started to have symptoms like being unresponsive. Without more adequate history of trauma, complainant's injuries are more consistent with abusive head trauma and child physical abuse. Okay. Not long after he was arrested for an injury to a child causing severe bodily harm, he got into trouble for forging a check, leading police on a high-speed chase, stealing a car and falsely claiming that a car was stolen. So this man has a problem. He has a horrible past. Okay. And right here it states there was a shooting at Wilmer Hutchins High School in Dallas yesterday. If you Google image search the high school, one of the first photos to pop up is of felon Dominique Alexander, advocate for Karmelo Anthony. Weird. Okay, this man is putting his face out there. He's putting his face out there just like Al Sharpton was always putting his face out there. Okay, and when you read up on the Next Generation Action Network, they're for people who are accused of crimes. Their job is to like provide bail money. All right, Next Generation Action Network. We have established a fundraiser to cover bail and other legal expenses for protesters arrested in Dallas, Texas, in connection to protests against George Floyd. So their job is to help raise bail money. And you know that's probably what they were doing in the Karmelo Anthony case, because he's the Karmelo Anthony spokesperson. I just did a video with him a few days ago, and I'm just astounded. I'm just astounded at what I am finding. This man is BLM 2.0. He is Al Sharpton 2.0. He is the next generation Al Sharpton. That is what he is. He's got his face out there. He's really pushing. He's a spokesperson for Karmelo Anthony. Here it is. He's standing here with Karmelo Anthony. Okay. And it says revealed activist working with murder suspect, I should say. Murder suspect. Revealed activist working with murder suspect Karmelo Anthony has a disturbing past. And this is the picture of Dominique Alexander. Okay. That's him. So we need to realize what's going on here. There is a concerted effort to bring a hedge between the races. And when you hear that man speak, he's dredging up grievances, just really getting people stoking the flames of racism, another grifter. And you saw his past, you saw the news clip, you read it along with me. What am I to think? And look at the similarity between the names. Next Generation Action Network. Al Sharpton's is called National Action Network. National Action Network, and now it's Next Generation Action Network. That's what we're dealing with, warriors. And it looks like the Black community, in some instances, I will not say all, has an issue with praising criminal activity just because a person has a certain skin tone. And it's bothersome. And I know it stems from the past of us having been treated, not fairly in the judicial system. And it's like we're almost trying to overcompensate for things that were done to us in the past, because it'll be brought up by some lefty liberal who's going to get in my comment section. Oh, what about what they did to us? What about this one over here? And what about this one over here? We need to look at things individually, separate from looking at other things. Don't bring up Kyle Rittenhouse. That situation was totally different. Don't bring up George Zimmerman. That was a little bit different, in my opinion, because the man was getting the snot locked out of him. Okay, he was getting beat up. All right, so when people have a right to stand their ground, but when you cannot escape, that's different from someone being cornered in in a dark corner somewhere by a crowd of people, and you think that your life is in danger because you have nowhere to go, which is Kyle Rittenhouse situation. And George Zimmerman was getting beat up, getting the snot knocked out of him. Really, he was injured. You should have seen the pictures. So those situations were completely different. There was nowhere for Kyle Rittenhouse to go and nowhere for George Zimmerman to go. And I know somebody is going to get mad, but if you take color out of it, just take ethnicity out of it. I spoke to my hairdresser who did not know the ethnicity of Austin Metcalf and Karmelo Anthony, and I gave her what I know, and she said, why would he go to a track meet with a weapon? He was looking for trouble, and then he sat up under their tent. Yeah, he knew what he was doing. He should get in trouble. And then later I showed her the pictures of Karmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalf. And she was like, still, right is right and wrong is wrong. He shouldn't have done that. He should have walked away. Somebody should have had the sense to walk away. See, when you tell somebody a true scenario, leave the color out of it and see what the response is. But when you get color involved with some liberal people, not all, because she's liberal, she didn't do that. She just stood up and said, no, that was wrong. And I'm telling you right now, it is not looking good from how I see it. And I was looking at another YouTuber. Her name is Tamara Neely. You should check her out. She said that, and she's a very spiritual person, a very religious person. Tamara Neely is. And she said she could see a dark cloud over the defense. And that would be Karmelo Anthony and his team, a dark cloud. She believes that Austin Metcalf went to heaven to be with the Lord. I don't know. God didn't show me where he went. He could have. I don't know. But I wanted to share that with you all because we have another situation here. This is BLM 2.0 and Al Sharpton 2.0, dealing with this man, Dominique Alexander, who has the title of minister. And you know Al Sharpton has the title of reverend, and his past with the FBI, being an FBI informant and all of that. So when you look at the similarities between the two, it is absolutely shocking. Absolutely shocking. Thank you all so much for watching this video. Don't forget to smash like, comment, share, subscribe, hit all notifications so that you never, ever miss a video that I post. You all be blessed. Love God, your families, the United States of America, and march on, warriors.